Alright YouTube, well, it's been several years since I've made a video, and what brought me back is kind of getting my hands on this MPAT knife by TOPS. It's very rare that I get anything sort of new, and I haven't seen too many videos on it, so I just thought I'd show you guys kind of what you get when you get it, and do some first impressions, right? And unfortunately, I'm using probably the same camera I used years ago when I filmed, and the world's craziest backdrop, but hey, what can you do when you're out and about, right? You do what you can do. Alright, so MPAT knife, right? Good old Kydex sheath that we all know and love from TOPS. They do really good, just like they always have. That's nothing new for us that have used TOPS knives. This is something new. I've never had one with a sort of leatherish retention strap. It does have one of these good old directional buttons, right? So if you try to pull it any kind of weird way, it's not going to work unless you just put your thumb on there, right, and open it, and then it opens just fine. And when you put it back on, you got to do the same thing, right? You got to put it this way. So from there on, right? And then it's really easy. I don't think you really need it. It's got good retention, right, so far, so it doesn't, you know, do anything crazy. On this side, I'm used to those directional sort of spinning clips that TOPS is known for. They didn't do that over here. They used these two retention clips, right? And they're sort of C-channel locks, right? So I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but they will, once your belt or whatever gets in there, molly, it'll stick and it'll be fine, right? So pretty good. Alright, well, let's see. So, the old MPAT. Alright, well, one thing, first things first, when I look at this, the blade shape, right? That sucker looks just like, or reminds me, very familiar to the, it was like an Ontario air survival knife, pilot survival knife, something like that. I grew up with one of those. I grew up in the country, out in the sticks, and, you know, that sucker, I guarantee you to this day, I mean, it was used for everything, right? But it's probably in some toolbox rusting away, or in a can by a bunch of feed sacks just continuing to mercilessly cut everything in its path, right? It just worked. It just worked, right? It was a good knife. So great knife design. If it functions anything like that, it should be great. One thing that was not good about that knife was that, you know, it had a bunch of serrations up here, and they didn't really work very well for wood. So I think they were designed for like light aluminum. So if you were in a down pilot scenario, you could like saw your way through the airframe, something like that. Didn't help me out in the country, right? So I actually prefer this. I think it's much better. You can put your thumb up here. It's nice. Jimping, not too aggressive, right? It's not gonna tear up your gloves or your hands or anything like that, right? The gentleman that designed this is part of a fighter jet crew or something, Wizzo. So I think that's Navy, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Air Force, I'm sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. But he designed it, you know, for his needs, as, you know, being stuck inside that aircraft's pretty tight. So he designed it with a very thin handle, right? So my hands, they are a medium, right, but have occasionally been known to fit into a small size glove. So I have pretty small hands, right? So you see there's a little extra space there, right? It doesn't bother me. And I may be going out of frame here. I apologize, guys. I'm working in some austere environment. But, you know, I got a lot of room in there. If you have normal, average, adult-sized hands, you're probably fine. But it feels good. It feels good to me. I don't know. I was kind of worried about hot spots and stuff, and maybe there will be, but most of the time I got gloves. I think when he designed it, he was thinking about wearing gloves, so that's fine. One of those things, if you're the kind of person that's going to bother you, there's already looks like there's some kind of, you know, scuffing or something like that from the sheath, both right there and right there. So I don't know how durable this is or isn't. I'm sure it's plenty fine. I don't even care about stuff like that, but there's some people that do. It's going to look a lot worse than that when I'm done with it. So I'm all about it. One thing I can tell you just by holding it though, this guy here is pretty sharp. This is pretty sharp, and that's pretty pointy too. So I kind of wish that this guy, sort of duller, right? That this guy was more like that guy right there. That would probably be pretty cool for me, because I got a feeling, I just got that feeling that this is going to poke me in my ribs, right? That it's gonna, when I bend over in certain directions, right? If I lean towards it, it's gonna stab at me, right? But once again, smaller hands, right? Also what I would call average size person, what the rest of the world would call pretty short. So if you're an average size human being, you probably won't have that problem either. So yeah, living the dream over here. And another thing that to note is this coating is pretty slick. You know how some of those knives have like that Teflon coating? I can't think of any examples right now, of course, but like maybe CKRT or Cold Steel back in the day. I haven't seen them in a while, but they had that like slick sort of coating. It's not that slick, but it's not like, you know, a lot of 1059 knives have that like sandpaper type coating, right? It's not that either. It's like an in-between. So I'd be curious to see how durable that is. But no, liking it so far. You know, first impressions. Haven't really done anything with it yet. But I'm going to carry this guy for all of November. And kind of, hopefully I'm planning to do a video a week. Just kind of give you some updates. We'll see if I can stick with that with my schedule and all. But yeah, so that's my first impression of it. I brought some cutting material here that we could show you. This is just some really thin, you know, advertisement type stuff. Let's see if I can keep this in frame. Uh-oh. There you go. Look at that. So, yeah. Sharp enough, right? So, now that's real thin. I don't usually cut stuff like that, right? Here's some, like, thicker sort of cardstock sort of material. That's probably more along the lines of what I'd be cutting. So, I'll carry this for November. If I sharpen it, I'll let you know, but I'm just going to use it for everything, right? Cutting my food, cutting my boxes, letters, and whatever I got. Whatever it needs to be cut, it's going to be cut with that. So I'll be that guy. But luckily, I'm in the free land of Texas, so we can carry these things around. Still gets you looked at weird sometimes, though. So, all right, I'll let you guys know what I find. Let's get after it.